Have you ever felt stuck, overwhelmed, or unsure if you're on the right path? This episode is for you. I'm joined by Jalisia Hattie, who helps people turn uncertainty into clarity. Why it works. So, welcome to Beauty of Colors podcast. Jalisa, it's great to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Very welcome. So, Jalisa, tell the listeners about you and why are you called the Golden Child?
Yes, I know I get that question a whole lot. People might think, oh, she's full of herself. And that is not the reason why I am called the golden child. So, a little bit about me. I am a single mom. I have three children. My children are soon to be 6, 5, and 3. I say that I'm a single mom by choice, but also by circumstance. I was in an abusive marriage, and that led me to make the decision that was best for me and my children to separate. At the time, my children were 2, 1, and 1 month old, so it's still fresh, but not as fresh as it was. Um, but during that time, I was a stay at home mom with no income. So I had to make the decision after that as to what I was going to do business wise so that I could continue to stay home with my children and homeschool. So what I decided to do was one, do a rebrand as the Golden Child, and that name came from my conception story. So when my mom was pregnant with me, they told her at two different points during her pregnancy that I would be born with Down syndrome and that my esophagus and my windpipe would be fused together. I wouldn't have a stomach, and that if the best option would be for her to terminate the pregnancy, because if she was to make it full term, there was little to no chance that I would even make it with all of the health challenges that they saw from the testing, from the the ultrasound, from all of those things that they saw, which she saw. She saw the test results, but she said, you know what, I'm believing for a different outcome. And she said that she went to a revival at a church. She said she told them what was going on, had them pray over her, and she said the only thing that she remembers is feeling like she was being lifted off of her feet and that God was pouring gold into her stomach. And later on, when she went back to the doctor after that encounter, they couldn't find anything wrong with me. So now, years later, with the rebrand, giving birth to my last son, God told me, He said, you're you're going to do more than birth your son. You're going to rebirth yourself. So with that, I, decided to leave my marriage, rebranded my business, and from there, my mission has been to guide people to see and be their most authentic self, uncover and release limiting beliefs, and unleash the golden child within. Yes, my brand is the golden child, but I truly believe each and every one of us is a golden child. We each have a specific purpose and a specific reason why we're here on this earth. And the more authentic we can see ourselves to be and live, the easier that will be. Because it's not about what we do, it's about who we are.
Mm. Wow, what a powerful story, Jalissa. So, Jalissa, how can one break free from limiting beliefs?
So there's work that I do specifically with clients that they can actually do on their own. It's really a way to really tap in and tune into your intuition to see what is the root cause of the challenges that you might be facing. So, say for example, having this conversation recently about relationships, where you find you're in a different relationship, but you're going through the same experiences over and over again. Okay, you can tap in and tune into your issue with intuition using something called kinesthetic muscle testing. And what that is a way to really tune into what is aligned and what's not aligned for you, or what's right and what's wrong, or what's a yes and what's a no for you. So if you sit with yourself and you find yourself going through this recurring pattern in relationships, it could be relationships, it could be money, it could be health, whatever it is, you can sit with yourself to say, okay, where is this coming from? And asking yourself yes or no questions. Is this coming from my parents? Is it coming from an experience that I had? Is it coming from a societal norm? Where is this specific pattern coming from? So you drill down to see what the root of it is, and then moving forward, asking those, again, yes or no questions to see, okay, this is a limiting belief that is the underlying cause of this recurring situation, experience, or habit that I'm having. And the more that you do that, the more that you ask those yes or no questions, the more clarity you'll receive from that to see, okay, this is what's really holding me back. This is what's really causing me to have this recurring pattern. And all it takes is your willingness to shift that belief or that story to start to see some results, to start to see some shifts and changes. And it's not like you're going to move forward and it's automatically going to be a complete shift and a change. You're not going to always get it right, quote unquote, when it comes to your relationships or whatever the case may be from the belief that you shifted. But it'll be, what I've realized is that when you find yourself in those situations again, your thought process will be different. The way that you react or respond will be different. A lot of times you don't know there's a change when you do this type of work until you're tested again. So that's what I've learned from my own experiences and with my clients. It's like, they're like, well, I don't necessarily know that I felt a shift, but when they encounter those experiences again, they're like, oh, there was a shift, there was a change because I didn't think the same way that I thought before. I didn't react the same way that I reacted before. I had more peace. I was more calm in response to that experience than I was before.
So how can let's talk a little bit about human design and what are the four pillars of human design?
Yes. So human design is another one of the modalities that I use. So I tell people more recently, again, doing some shifting and changes within my business, that I'm a self discovery and alignment coach. So human design is one of the tools for self discovery. The four pillars of human design are the I Ching, the Kabbalah, quantum physics, and astrology. And I think it's another one.
I think it's four. Yeah, you said four. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So that was four. Those are the four pillars. But it's really so if you think about a collage, that's really what it is. It has certain aspects of astrology, certain aspects of the Kabbalah, certain aspects of the I Ching, and certain aspects of quantum physics. And all of this makes up human design, and it's really a blueprint to your individual personality and your individual life's journey. Because a lot of times you'll see like astrology gives you the different what is it? I'm not really like well versed in astrology, but you'll see like, oh, I'm a Gemini or I'm an Aquarius, those signs. But it's very much individualized to you as a person because your human design chart is individual to you. Nobody else has your human design chart. So when you look at it, when you study it, when you understand it, you'll see that you've been conditioned to believe certain things about yourself that are not true.
Mhm.
You've been conditioned to believe that you have to act or respond or be a certain way based off of your experiences or your culture or your background. That human design helps you to uncover and release so that you're being your most authentic self, so that you're being the golden child that you were designed and created to be. So I say that human design is really a personality test on steroids because it's so individualized and specific to you. And it's the only self-discovery tool that I found, or like a personality test that's so individualized, as much as your DNA is, as much as your fingerprint is. That's how specific and individualized your human design chart is.
So where can somebody take that test? Do you have that test? Do you offer that test? Tell us a little bit about where the listeners can get in touch with you. And do you have any speaking engagements?
Yes. So you can go to my website, jalisahardy.com, and you can get your human design chart for free. You need your date of birth, time of birth, and location of birth. Those are the three things that it'll ask for once you go to the website. And once you input that information, you'll automatically get your excuse me, your human design chart. It'll pop up in front of you and you'll be able to see certain aspects of it. And from there, at the very top of the chart, it's some paid reports that you'll be able to look at to get more insight into your individual human design chart. Again, the free chart will give you some insight, but if you don't know about human design, you're not really going to know what it means.
Mhm.
I've had people who have actually like had so much um like they felt so seen even from just the free human design chart. They thought that, how could you know this about me? Just based off of my date of birth, my time of birth, and location of birth. And I tell people all the time, God, source, universe, creator, whatever you believe in, was very intentional with every single detail of your life, down to where you were born, what time you were born, and date, time, and location. All of that. He was very specific. He, she, whatever you call it, it was very specific. And I believe that this is the reason why, because it gives us insight to our personality and our purpose. And that's what human design does for you. So when you see your chart, you'll kind of see like, oh, I thought that this was like a flaw, or like something was wrong with me. Because say, for example, there are 5 energy types. So if you're a manifesting generator like I am, very multi-passionate, multi-talented, you're able to multitask with ease. You have a lot of different things that you do, and people might tell you, "Oh, you're all over the place. You need to pick one thing. You need to just focus on one thing." And if you're a manifesting generator, that's not how you're designed to be. So it might feel very stifling to niche down in your business. It might feel very frustrating to only focus on one thing, but because you were conditioned to believe that this was the right way to do things, you've been doing it for all this time. So when you see that on your human design chart, you'll be like, oh, that makes so much sense. There's really nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with having all of these different passions, all of these different projects, multitasking, sometimes not finishing things. That's by design. So you'll get that from your human design chart. Again, the reports are at the top, and then you'll see additional ways to work with me on that same page for how I can support you and guide you through learning more about your human design.
Wow. So, Jalisa, tell us about your book. You're an author as well. What drove you to write this book?
In 2018, I was preparing to be married to my now ex-husband, but I was in another transitional phase in my life. We go through transitions all throughout life, transition, transformations, changes. Um, but I knew that God kept telling me, you need to write a book. You need to write a book. And one day I sat down to, get on social media, and my Facebook memories came up from 10 years prior. And I had declared that I would be a published author. This was 10 years prior at the time. And even when I saw the post, I had no clue what that meant, what it looked like, how I was going to go about it. But doors began to open. People, literally strangers, would come and say, you need to write a book. Like, I kept getting messages after message, resources, information. People kept coming into my life. I kept getting ideas. I had the idea to share a part of my testimony that I had never shared with anyone on social media. And from there, people just started reaching out to me like, can you speak on my podcast? Can you come speak at this event? Can you share your testimony here? And at one of the events that I spoke at, I had this outline for what I call the Freedom Framework. And when I sat down to write my book, God brought that back to my attention. So that became the outline for the book, that Freedom Framework. So I literally sat down for an hour a day for 20 days and wrote over 150 pages for this book. That is how I knew
Nice.
that is how I knew that this was something that I had to do, because it literally just flowed out of me, even in the midst of wedding planning, even in the midst of life happening, even in the midst of working full time. This was something that I was able to do in a 6 month time frame. Do my book launch on February 18th. At the time, I didn't have a business. I just knew that I was to write this book, and that was what I did. But when I did my book launch, I had about 100 books that I purchased. I left the book launch with about 10.
Oh, yes.
So I knew, okay, I might be onto something. So just doing research, I started my LLC maybe 2 days later. Usually it could take about a week or two. When you fill out your paperwork, it took 2 days for it to come back approved. And it was like, okay, I don't faith. I had no clue what I was doing, but I knew that I had always had the entrepreneurial mindset because I originally started my first business in middle school.
Oh,
I
no.
would go to the bulk grocery store, get the big packs of candy in bulk, and go to school and upsell it. I made so much money. The school put me out of business because they weren't making money from their vending machines. So I knew then that I've always had this entrepreneurial mindset that didn't come back until, 2018 when I self-published my book. So that was where my business began with this book and becoming an author.
So, what's the name of the book, and where can listeners get a copy of your book?
Yes, the title of the book is It's All in Me: My Journey to Freedom and Living Abundantly. It's a memoir, but it's also a self help guide. Because again, I talked about the freedom framework, but I share about my testimony and the things that I've been able to overcome and what parts of that freedom framework were able to help me through those traumatic experiences that I've had throughout my lifetime. And what I didn't know at the time was that I was writing that book for other people, but I was writing it for me because it was one of the major tools that helped me to navigate going through and getting out of my abusive marriage. And I literally probably read it again twice or 2 to 3 times going through that experience because it was like I knew that I had the tools. Like the title says, it's all in me. I knew that I had the tools to navigate and overcome this experience because I had already overcome so much. So that book is on Amazon. It's on Barnes and Nobles. It's on Target. It's even on global platforms as well.
So, Jalissa, do you have any last words for the listeners on the power of self-reflection?
Mm, that is such a good question. Because I was literally just working on my end of the month reflections. I do at the end of each month and at the end of each week, I reflect on my experiences, what I was able to accomplish, the challenges that I had. But the thing about it is, when it comes to self reflection, you realize that the only problem you really have is your perspective. So when you can shift your perspective and go within instead of focusing on your external, what's going on the outside, what's going on in your experiences, that takes away the anxiety, that takes away the pain that other people are able to cause you, that takes away a lot of the suffering that we experience. Because when you do that self reflection and you realize it's all in me, whatever is going on around me, whatever other people are doing or not doing, only can affect me if I allow it to. So taking that time to self-reflect and shift your perspective will literally shift your life.
Wow, nicely said. So, where can the listeners get in touch with you? What's your website address, and what's your socials?
Yes, my website is jalisahardy.com, and I am at Jalisa the Golden Child on all platforms, on Facebook, on TikTok, on Instagram, and LinkedIn.
Wow, great. So, Jalisa, it was a pleasure having you on Beauty of Colors podcast.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.